Hello and welcome to the tutorial toolbox. My name is Tobias and this is Unity Game Development Episode 2. We are going to pick up right where we left, well actually a little bit later, because I figured out the correct function. The correct function name is onCollisionEnter 2D, and that basically just, that function is executed every time a collision with a 2D, what's it called? Every time a collision happens between a two 2D colliders. So if your object has a 2D collider and it collides with another 2D collider, then you have a collision into 2D. It has a parameter, a collision 2D, which is called call. And basically what we then do is we take the collision 2D, take the collider. The collider is the is the one that we hit. The name of that, if that contains platform, then we can jump. So basically, if we play the game now, I can't jump more than once. If we look here, I made the can jump public so we can see. Right now I can jump, can't jump while mid-air, only when I am on the platform. So that fixes that, and let's get moving with our game. So what I think we're going to do this time is we're going to create somewhat of a level for the player to actually play. Right now we have one platform where we can run around and there's really that much to it. So what we're going to do is we are going to duplicate our platform. Basically, if you click one in your hierarchy and Control D, it duplicates it. The reason why I wrote contains platform is here because I don't want to rename this every time I duplicate it. It's going to have another number. So it just have to have something to do with the name platform. That way we can also call, if we ever have some moving platforms, we can call that moving platform and it'll still allow us to jump off of it. So let's move that a little bit over. I found out that at this distance is a pretty good first. Whoops, I forgot it's on space. It's a pretty good distance to jump, as you can see. But seeing that we have a circular player, sometimes that happens. So that is basically just something your players are going to have to live with, or you can somehow through some additional colliders you might be able to smoothen it up a bit. I don't know. I actually want to show you why we sorry, why we are using this collider, the circle one. It's pretty apparent when I do this, I think. So with the I'm really sorry. That's probably going to be horrible on video. But as you can see here, when we have a slope, this is what it looks like with the circle collider. If we, however, use a box collider, so we might want to decrease the size just a little bit. That should, no, 0.14. That does it. All right. this is what happens. We basically ride on our corner, and I don't know, I just think it looks silly. You can use the box collider really, if that's your preference, but I'm going to use the circle collider. So let's re-enable that. I just like it better, I guess. Alright, so as you might have noticed, when we move along the terrain, we basically can move out of the screen. That's not so good for a side-scrolling game, really. So what we're going to do, we are going to make our camera follow our player. So let's add new script, camera follow. Create it. It's gonna go in our assets. Let's just put it in our scripts folder. Gonna open it up. It's really simple code. We are going to need a game object target, which is going to be our player or what our camera is going to follow. And then at every update, we just want to, we might as well just put it in fixed update because our player is affected by the fixed update, so might as well just make it happen simultaneously. So what we do is we do transform.position is equal to new vector 3 target dot transform dot position dot x, and then we have target target dot transform position dot y, and we have transform dot position dot z, and we're gonna make that little transform. So what this should do is it should change the transform of our camera to make it so that the x and y coordinates is the same as our player, so that the center of our camera is going to be at the center of our player, and then the C is going to be the same as it's always been. And we need to make the game object here public so we can set it in the inspector, and we just simply drag our player. There you go. And now we have a following camera. You might also notice that basically if we fall, the camera at some point is not going to be able to keep up, as well as we can't, we don't die at some point, but that is going to be fixed later on, so don't worry about that for now. The important thing is that we have our player at the center of the world, and now we can build something. So let's delete this. Let's create a new empty, call it world, position it at 0, 0, and we are going to put all of our platform objects and stuff inside this world object. Do some platforms. Let's see, we have one here. If you don't know what I'm doing here, basically I'm using the middle mouse wheel, the middle mouse button. If you click that, you can simply drag your screen in here instead of selecting. So we're just gonna position, it's just gonna be really straightforward. Basically, it's gonna be a lot of 5 platforms that are spaced. Whoops. Let's see. Timing the jumping can be quite difficult, so that also gives some level of, I think at least, some level of difficulty. That's kind of fun, I guess. So what we want to do right now is pretty boring. There's not really much of a game to it, really. So what we want to do is we're going to want to create an empty object. Call this game manager. Centered, might as well, doesn't really matter. And we're going to create a new script called game manager. This script is going to basically manage our game, what happens in the game at certain times. Let's move it into our scripts folder and open it up. You can also see here game manager is a common thing to call this type of script. So Unity have made it so you can see here with normal scripts it has this icon of C++, but with the game manager it has this cogwheel thing to basically simulate that this is something systematic. First of all, what we are going to want to do is we want some kind of time in our game so that we can basically say our player completed this course in this amount of time, and maybe even say that you get this many points if you can complete it within this time, this many points within this time, kind of add bonuses and stuff. So in our script, we are going to want to have a float time spent and set that equal to 0.0f. So float is a number variable. If you don't know all this, this is going to be the only episode I think where I am going to in depth explain basic programming. So if you don't know that, search it up on Google or something. I kind of expect for you to be able to somewhat program when you follow this Unity game development, because even though Unity is a very strong engine that allows for a lot of artistic and designing, also if you want to make a game, you're going to want to do some programming at some point, so you might as well learn it. Either way, we have our time spent, and we are going to make in our update, we are basically going to say time spent plus equals time dot delta time. So what this does is every time update happens, our time spent is going to be increased with how much time has passed since last update. So basically, it's going to keep track of the time. But it doesn't really, of course, we can make this public so that we can see it in the inspector. If we look at our game manager when we play, you can see here time goes on, but when our player plays the game, they don't really, this is what they see, they don't see the inspector. So there's no real indication for the player of what's happening. We're going to want to change that. We're going to create some UI, and we're going to create some text. You can see though that some other things than our text were added when I did that. First of all, a canvas. Canvases need to be there in order to have what's it called? Need to be there for UI to work, and um, the event system basically has a lot of stuff that can communicate with the UI and stuff like that. Um, so you might notice that I changed something here on the canvas. We have three different render modes: screen space overlay, screen space camera, and world space. Screen space overlay basically just is there. It's in the game where the player sees it. When the player sees the screen, the game on top of the game, then we have the screen space overlay render mode. Then we have the camera, where our canvas, our UI basically just follows the camera. This is you saw that I dropped some things in. That's the camera for it to follow. Basically, for us, there's no difference really between screen space camera and screen space overlay because our camera moves along with the game. So you can see here we have screen space camera. You can see the new text is always here. If I change it to screen space overlay, oh, it's gonna be here. But if I change it to world space, can't find it at all. World space is the third one, which basically just makes the canvas have places in the world, and you can see that our new text is, you see, this is really big canvas for if I don't actually know, it's really giant for some reason. But yeah, world spaces if you want, it's primarily used in 2D games, 3D games, sorry. But if you want something at a certain point in the world and only at that point in the world, then you use the screen space overlay. So, for example, if I wanted a place where if I had like a castle that we could move by, but on top of it I wanted to say castle, and for some reason I was too lazy to incorporate that into the image, I could make a canvas that only has the stuff there. Or for example, I could have, if I had enemies that I wanted to have health bars, those move independently from the player, so they would also have to be in screen space, in world space, sorry. But we're just gonna do overlay. We're also gonna tick pixel perfect. One thing though is with the overlay, as you can see, it's giant canvas, and if I want to edit something, I'm going to have to zoom out, and then if I want to edit the world, I'm gonna have to zoom in on the world, and stuff. It's kind of tedious and hard. So if I set it to camera, it's just going to be there as a part of the camera, and that's a lot easier to work with. I have the pixel perfect. Basically, almost always it's a good idea to enable it. You can see a slight difference. It's a little bit sharper, but what it does is that it doesn't allow for half pixels, but it snaps stuff to the nearest whole pixel. So there aren't semi-blurred stuff, but you might want semi-blurred stuff sometimes. But for text and stuff, I think pixel perfect is a lot better. All right, so we have our text object and we want it to say time. We want it to be white. We want it to be bold. We want it to be bigger. And we want to position it somewhere else. That's where this fifth tool comes in. We can move around our UI objects. We have here our transform. Normally we have a normal transform that has position, rotation, and scale, but with canvases and UI objects, we have a rect transform. They have this called anchors, which basically dictates where the UI object is anchored to the canvas. Right now it's anchored to the center of the canvas, so the UI is drawn at 0 from the center of the canvas in the X direction and 284 in the Y direction from the canvas. Let's just see, what time is it? Oh, time is getting out of hand. But we can change that. For example, we can say we want it to be anchored to the top. And now it is anchored at, yeah, to the top. So, real quickly, because I'm gonna have to end this video, we want a public text, time text. We want to using Unity engine.ui, and the update we want time text to be equal to time plus time spent to string. So basically, we have our text object in our game manager, and at every object, we change the time to be the text in that to be time as plus the actual time. So what happens is that right now it's floating value, of course, so it has a lot of decimals, that is the milliseconds, but it works. So that's it for this episode, guys. I'm sorry that it dragged out this long. I really didn't expect, but really I can just go on and on about this stuff. But it's been a pleasure. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe. This is unscripted, by the way, I want to say, so that's why it can be so, a little bit cluttered sometimes, why I don't um have, because I don't have strict guidelines to what I want to say. I just kind of go with the flow. But if there's something you like or didn't like, please post a comment. Also, uh, leave a like or a dislike, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time.